All right, so we are here to talk about e-commerce. Is this a boring topic? No? No.
Ask the audience.
It's not boring.
It's certainly anything but boring.
It's anything but boring.
Absolutely not.
Okay, so what I'd like you to do is I want you to each introduce yourself, and I'd really like you just to kind of stand up, take the center stage, say, I am, okay, your name, your company, your favorite animal, right, and what makes you cool.
Wow.
Yep, what makes you cool. Center stage.
I'm starting.
You get to go right here. Your name,
Hi.
company.
Hi, everyone. I'm John. I'm the GM for T-mart, so from Talabat. What makes me cool, I think, is...
favorite animal?
My favorite animal is dogs.
Another dog?
Yeah, love dogs. And what makes me cool, I think, is definitely being able to work on T-mart and building the dark store model.
No, wait a
and
minute,
disrupting...
no. That's your company. What makes you as a person cool?
Wow. I'm a dad of 2 twin girls. They're 2.5 years.
We're all dads. Come on, something cool.
Come on, some help here.
You ever?
I used to be a professional actor.
There you go.
So the stage is familiar for me.
There you go. That made you cool. Take a seat. Great to have you here.
You had time to think.
Hey, my name is Arun, and I work for Fresh to Home, and we are an AI and IoT technology company that actually brings fresh food produce into your houses every day. And we're also the largest fish and meat seafood player in the world.
Favorite animal?
Oh, it's a dog.
You're a dog also.
It's a dog.
What makes you cool?
Well, you see, I like to listen. Somebody just told me a while back that I like to listen, and that's a very cool thing.
That's not a cool thing.
It's a very cool thing to do.
Come on, he's an actor. You're a listener. Come on, let's try something different. What do you got?
Well, I dance.
You dance. What kind of dancing?
Whatever goes with the mood.
Can you show us a few steps real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah! Are you ready? I know you're scared to death, aren't you?
Good afternoon. I'm Natalie Carvalho, and I'm head of e-commerce at Truebell Marketing and Trading. My favorite animal is a giraffe.
A giraffe?
Yeah.
That's my wife's favorite animal.
Yeah, I like giraffes, long necks. And what makes me cool?
What makes you cool?
Oh, I'm not sure if it's cool or not, but I like to salsa dance. So.
You like salsa?
Yeah.
Like as in dipping salsa or dancing salsa?
As in both.
You like? Can you show us a few steps?
Not right now, but I mean, I could.
I'm taking it. All right.
Hi everyone, I'm Yesu. I'm the Vice President of Grocery at Noon. Most of you know Noon already. If you're in Dubai, even for the last 3 days, you wouldn't have missed Noon on the roads and everywhere else. My favorite animal is a lion.
A lion.
And what makes me cool is I do good off-roading. So if you guys are free sometime, I would love to take you off-roading and do some dune bashing.
Wait. Your cool is what? You get nervous up there, don't you?
No, I don't get nervous of the off-roading. Which one? Dance?
They did it. They did a cool factor. What's your cool factor? Come on.
Okay, what's cool? So you think off-roading is not cool? I mean, ask the people. Maybe they love it.
Then sit down. I'll let you get away with it.
Thank you.
You ready?
Hello, everyone. My name is Nikola. I am VP of Brand Partnerships in InstaShop. We're the largest online marketplace, hyperlocal on-demand grocery, and many more. My favorite animal is horse.
It's a horse.
It's such a beautiful animal overall. And what makes me cool is that I'm, in most of the cases, the tallest room in the person.
No, come on.
And the second thing is I'm also a semi-professional basketball coach.
Really?
Yeah, and that's one of the most challenging things you can have in front of yourself. 20 adult people, professionals in their work, and then you need to come in front of them and tell them what they need to do and how they need to do it.
That's awesome. Great to have you here.
Thank you.
All right. It's time for you to finish it up.
Hi. My name is Kirti. I'm the head of procurement at Choitrams. My favorite animal?
Favorite animal?
Human beings.
No, not an animal. Come on. That's his answer too. He left.
Human beings are also part of the animal kingdom.
Come on.
And apart from that.
You don't have a favorite animal either.
No, apart from that. What makes me cool?
What makes you cool?
Beer. with Bhushant.
We all are being. So that means we're all cool, but you have to elevate it now. Come on, one step higher.
Maybe listening to music.
You listen to music. He listens to music too.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a tough one, isn't it?
At this age, it's enough.
There's a reason why I'm asking you this. I'm being serious, okay? When you all said e-commerce is cool, because you all did, that means you have to be a personification of that.
Okay, if you look at it from that part, passionately, what makes me cool? I think new and exciting FMCG products makes me cool.
Sit down. Okay, here we go. But let's go through it. I really wanted you to understand that there's so many times when we go, e-commerce, and you don't think it's exciting. I'm with you. It is exciting because there's so much technology advancement and actually new ways of thinking. It actually kind of looks like it. If you've ever been to a symphony, it almost feels like sometimes the instruments are not playing together because it's hard to understand what's going on. So why should we get excited? Why should we get excited about this space right now?
Look, I think it's a revolution, right? Because I believe it's a revolution because we're kind of changing user behavior. Where, yes, it will sound a bit cliche to say COVID came and kind of accelerated this process, but it's true that what the user expected to see, at least from online grocery part, a year and a half ago is completely different from what they expect to see today. And I believe that shift in how the user is behaving is definitely transforming also our business models. And that's what makes it cool, because internally we're going through a lot of innovation, a lot of changes to cope with this, and the user actually can see it. And the user can see that things are changing in the way we're providing the service to them.
But it needs to maintain also the status of other people who don't want to have that type of change. It's got to be seamless, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It needs to be seamless in terms of obviously delivering, making sure that we've got fast deliveries, we've got the right product, the right price points. Yeah, best brands on demand.
So someone like me, you guys were joking around with me earlier about, oh, don't you want you don't want to go to the store, right? I do want to go to the store, right? I want to look at the grapes. I actually want to taste them. You're supposed to, but I want to do that. So you have to cater towards me also, as well as somebody who wants someone else to bring back great grapes, right?
Absolutely. That's a great question, Ken. And it's one of the most interesting challenges that we are trying to tackle in e-commerce, right? See, first of all, if we take a step back, and what all of us here are trying to tackle is there are new ways of shopping for grocery. Earlier it was you would walk into a shopping mall, and there are a huge generation of people who would want to avoid or maybe want to shop at the convenience of their home. Now there are two kinds of people. One, who are like you, maybe you want to touch, feel the product, and you want to know more about the product before even committing to buy that product. So what we try and do is have a really high quality of content which is available on the website, which should ideally try and I would say you shouldn't have the need to actually go into physical store to get all the information that you need. I would say we are taking baby steps right now. There's a huge pathway that we can take to make this much more interesting for e-commerce shoppers.
That's interesting. Why baby steps? Do you agree with it?
Just like you said when we were chatting earlier, there are a whole lot of people who still would like to go to the stores, and I'm quite happy about it, because we are retailers, and the look and feel sometimes of any product, not only fresh produce, but also maybe some non-food product, also entices a consumer within the store. Yes, what we are now trying to do is, of course, we have got so much of competition coming around us vis-a-vis the brick and mortar stores. So we are also into e-commerce. We are into apps. We are also with aggregators. And yes, as he rightly said, there is a lot of information which is now available on the web of any particular product. So we are also trying to get our stores onto the web, where people can come and shop, whether it's directly with us or on an app or on e-commerce or maybe with some aggregators like InstaShop.
And I understand that e-commerce is important, no question about it, but when it starts to kill industries, do you remember where bookstores were everywhere and then they disappeared, and now at least you have 2 in the Dubai Mall, but it killed certain industries. I kind of I have some fear that it starts to kill the touchable, tangible industries.
Well, you mentioned that you love your stores, and InstaShop is all about the stores you love delivered better. And we strongly believe that a strong marketplace where Choitrams can propose their values to the customers is something that we need to cater. This seamless experience of amazing brand store partners that can still deliver that in a timely manner. So you just sit down and you're going to get your best grapes because we know what kind of grapes Choitrams is serving. So you don't need to think about it. Now, when it comes to the killing the industry, I don't believe in that, although you are right. There is a Borders shop in Dubai Mall, and they are lately
the big one, right?
They are lately selling more of toys than books. Now, I don't believe something like that will happen with retailer. I just think that future is marketplace where tech partners such as InstaShop are walking hand in hand with the brand retailers, and we are just enabling each other to grow together. Because these guys, they build like last 50 years putting themselves into the product. So once you enter inside of that store, you actually feel that love in every fruit that sits there, in every product. What we are trying to do is to replicate that perfect environment back to you.
And when we talk about e-commerce, is the platform that we all recognize, let's say Apple. Apple has made it pretty seamless in every respect, right? And it's consistent. Anything within the Apple ecosystem seems to work. They've spent billions of dollars to get it there. It's not that easy, is it?
Well, so circling back to that question about the Omni-Channel Marketplace, because that's a very interesting question. And the research that we have done, what it has told us is that a typical customer buys 8 times grocery in a month, right? Okay. And out of that, 4 times he would like to go to the shop, test the grapes out, would like to pick the variety that he picks, and the second time, he would actually like to pick it from an e-commerce player. Why? Because he knows exactly what he wants, he knows how it tastes like, and he just wants to repeat, right? So I don't think the statement of the bookseller dying out is actually going to be true.
It doesn't correlate.
It is not going that way, definitely, because it's going to be an omni-channel model where the brick and mortar stores will have to have a presence online, and the online players will also build up dark stores and commercial hubs and that kind of stuff, because the future is definitely omni-channel.
But you said something interesting. You said it's 50-50%. It's basically 50%,
That's
right?
Yeah.
Is that regional or is that global?
Well, for the region, this is what we're seeing. The global data also, again, globally the data can be skewed because the distance between a shop in LA and to where somebody stays in Redlands or whatever, it's a long commute, right? So people would prefer to actually buy online, and that's the success of Amazon. Right. Because people buy their groceries online.
And that's what you're banking on over Moon is you want all online. I believe you said you're in 3 locations, Egypt, Saudi, and here, right? Those are your 3 areas. Do you see a difference on what people are buying or the timing duration between purchases?
Absolutely. So one is definitely out of the 3 geographies that we operate in, UAE is the most matured market where we see e-commerce penetration. Especially e-commerce penetration in Dubai, I would say, or UAE for that matter, is around 6% to total trade from some of the studies that we have seen. And in other markets like Saudi is around 3% today. Egypt is extremely underpenetrated. Obviously, the macro things which are required for a successful, I would say, e-commerce are 1, the age of the population, 2nd, internet penetration. Number 3, social media penetration. If you look at all these 3 parameters, UAE scores like really high. And the 4th important thing which I forgot is your spending per capita. Again, UAE scores, almost equal to other global markets like US, UK. So it's a very beautiful opportunity for, let's say, me and my team and also Noon to be present in all 3 markets which behave and operate differently. But what we hope to really do is make Noon a very good alternate shopping experience for customers who would want
Just very good,
time.
not great?
Sorry?
Just very good, not great?
Great would be a very large statement at this point of time.
It's
Hopefully
audacious.
we will be.
Okay,
Yeah,
I can
it's
accept that.
audacious. Yeah.
So, Natalie, Jeff Bezos would say it's always about the long tail, right? Chris Anderson came out with a book called The Long Tail. It's about the obscure stuff that really, as a combined effort, is massive value on the e-commerce side. when it came to what Amazon was. Is it the long tail also when it comes to these type of services, where long tail matters, or is it really the 20%, you know, the 80-20 rule, the top 20% really produces 80% of the revenue?
I mean, it really varies. It really varies. But yes, you have your key sort of selling brands and selling platforms that generate that high end of value. So yeah, I mean,
it's still
varies.
the 80-20, right?
80-20, I'd say.
And does long tails matter to any of you, where it's the obscure stuff?
Well, I think definitely the essentials are basket starters, as we call them. So this is basically what people come to shop on your platform. And I think more and more we're adding sophistication to the platform to be able to push you towards the long tail. Basically, you don't know that you need them, but basically you discover them through your journey on the platform. And this is where you can try these products, be it a certain need, a certain category, or even certain brands that today are not necessarily the leader brands in the market, but basically we make you discover these brands and then basically, yeah.
Well, there are two additional levels to this. For example, this morning Dubai woke up and they're all putting the Almarai milk in majority of the cases, bread and so on and so forth. But in one area in Mirdiv, we're selling more of your flavored milk. And we were like, okay, what's happening? So localization is very important. Localization to accustom the certain audiences is in those particular locations. So whatever you're selling in Marina or your staplers, it doesn't need to look the same just maybe 5 kilometers down the road, because you're going to have a different audience.
Seeing a heat map from you guys of what's popping and what, that would be fascinating to see, actually. It really would, right? Because you would have real-time information. You said absolutely when he was answering that.
Yeah, about the long tail.
Yeah.
So, you know, we have, so since we are into both of them, into the brick and mortar and also the e-commerce, we have been working on the brick and mortar since like 70 years now.
Wow.
So we know how the tail works and how the essentials works. When we look at the same mix onto e-commerce, sometimes even the categories change. The mix of the categories change, or let's say the amount of quantity or amount that we sell within categories also change. Just a recent example, pet food. We saw that you know, the sale of pet food as a category was declining a bit in the stores, but it has actually taken off on e-commerce. So it has overcompensated it.
Because it's not sexy to go buy pet food at the store.
Maybe not.
Because I'm not going to go taste it.
Yeah. So I'm not sure how it works, because I'm not a pet owner.
Did you know that there was I was a small investor in a company where we invested in pet food, in pet products, and what killed us was shipping cost.
Okay.
That's where our biggest, they destroyed us. The pet food was great. The shipping cost, because it was the United States, you know, go from one point to the other. Here it's a lot easier, it's localized. So shipping is almost, that's the easy part, isn't it? Delivery time is different, but shipping is easy. For you guys, it's...
So Ken, before going there, maybe I would want to explain for the benefit of the audience, right? A lot of people would be wondering, this e-commerce, it must be like super complex and stuff. Yes, it is super complex, but what we are really trying to solve between all the business models is, if you look at retail and grocery retail in general, any retailer would want to solve three things. One is, are you able to provide the product that the consumer wants at a place that they want and at the price that they want? And this might seem very simple, but it's a very, very complex thing to be able to become a platform which has consistently delivered on all the three things. And to your other question on which categories are really doing well, yeah, go on.
It's too general to say e-commerce. It's like saying, oh, we're internet companies. No, but really, every one of you, you explain to people how big your facility is. How much room do you need to be the company that you are?
Okay, so in Dubai, I would say our warehouse is the size of a football ground. And we really do massive numbers. Obviously, I cannot quote the numbers here, but a really large number of people are shopping for grocery online. And we are fortunate to be maybe one of the pioneers in that industry here. So what we really do, I mean, taking your question much more deeply on if people want to understand how this entire operation works, right? I think the first job is obviously there's a growth team, or let's say in the old school, you would call it a marketing team, who are responsible to bring traffic onto the platform, which is like onto your site. And once they come onto the site, that's your playground. So basically, that's your store, online store. How you make them interact and finally make them purchase, that's the job of, let's say, on-site merchandiser. And what goes into that is your quality of assortment. Like, do you really have everything that the customer needs at the price that they want? And in categories like fruits and vegetable and fresh meat and seafood, quality also comes into play. To do all of this massive, so if you order something on Noon right now, what happens is that order goes into our warehouse management system. People will start picking orders as per the delivery slots that you have selected. So for example, if you have selected a 2 p.m. slot tomorrow, maybe the picking will start at 10 a.m. in the morning. You will consolidate everything together. From there, it goes to various logistics hubs. And from those logistics hubs, which are more closer to your household, the deliveries are done to you. So really, it's so many things coming together like a symphony, like you rightly said, for people to
real
experience.
Quick, I want people to understand, in the model I'm from, you're the Costco model, okay, but you would like to private label probably eventually, and then you would build your own brand out. Because you could actually see what people are buying, the consistency of what they want, to predict what the product should be, the quality level, and you could probably private label yourself in the future.
Absolutely. I think for every retailer, online or offline retailer, private label is a very important strategy. So yeah, I think all of us will play that game. What private label, the thing with private label is it doesn't work in all the categories. I mean, there are high involvement categories where the customer is really in love of the brand. You just can't replace that. There are some low involvement categories like toilet cleaners, for example, where you might not be so interested in the brand name.
Cashew nuts, cleaners.
There you go.
I mean,
Yeah.
look what Kirkland model is brand inside Costco. It's massive. It's a huge
Yes.
marketplace. But e-commerce is kind of boring to say it for you because you're much bigger. All of you are bigger than the term e-commerce. That's just a component of what you do. Do you agree with that?
So Ken, circling back to this complexity of e-commerce that Yesu was mentioning, the complexity can get really, really complicated, especially in terms of fresh. Like a produce that you're probably ordering a fish, for example, from Fresh to Home. You make an order at, let's say 7 p.m. The fish has just been caught in Sri Lanka, probably, right? And that is then brought into an airport at about 11 o'clock. At 2 o'clock, it's on a flight. At 7 a.m. in the morning, it's in the factory. It's being processed and packaged for you. By 9:30, it's at your house. Now, that amount of sophistication in a cold chain is phenomenally complex. I mean, you have to use IoT and AI like tools to predict the quality of the produce that you're picking up from the shop and making sure that it does not deteriorate as it makes its way to your house, right? And again, one more point which I wanted to add, again, to what Yesu was mentioning. It's about knowing your customer's persona, right? The buyer persona. Then it's about the proposition that you are trying to make. What is it that you are trying to sell? I mean, what's the pain point? Because for every pain point, there is a solution, and for a solution, there is a product, right? So if you don't get the 3 Ps right, which is buyer persona, the proposition, and the product right, then you will never make its way.
Makes a lot of
and
sense.
this is actually the barrier to entry in e-commerce. Thanks to COVID, people were forced into e-commerce and had to make that first buy. But then they actually saw that, it's not really that bad.
No, I get it. You were going to say something.
Yeah, about the complexity of fresh. So the funny part is you have like hundreds types of tomatoes, and every morning the price of that tomato is certain amount, afternoon goes down, and so on and so forth. So in InstaShop we created this chameleon product, and with thousands of doors just in the UAE, 24/7 in live, we're just replicating the same store price back to the consumers with integrations, with the help from our partners. We're doing that. So once you download the InstaShop, you just choose the nearby outlet around you based on your own preferences.
So why wouldn't you own your own Pure Harvest? Why don't you create your own hydroponics, aquaponics system, and then you incorporate it into what you are?
Because these guys, they're doing it best.
You rather outsource it to somebody else?
Definitely, they're
That's where you put
experts
more of your
in their
time.
field.
Right? So you're symbiotic. You need each other.
Exactly. In fact, when you started off with that bookstore model, which are dying out, it's not good for him. It's not good for him because he needs us.
Do you ever fear that he'll get so big that he could somehow replace you?
No, we don't fear it, but we have to coexist in some way. You know, it's like, I don't know whether anybody mentioned this, but even a pure player like Amazon is also going into brick and mortar now. So
Yes, they are.
yeah, so they
Their own
are.
stores.
So even they know that they have to coexist.
You see, Ken, there's a reason for that, because most of the brands, they get 40% of the activation happens in retail, in the shop floor, right? Now, e-commerce players, they are at a disadvantage because they don't get that 40% initial awareness into the brand. So people would need, even if you have a Kirkland-like product, you need to actually try it, touch it, feel it, taste it, sample it, before you actually make your decision to
I agree.
buy, right? So I don't think, like Kirti was mentioning, I don't think e-commerce itself probably will be a means to end. Certainly an omni-channel
get it.
activation would pay way
I don't want you
for
to
it.
follow your chair, and you're into this, man. Look
Good,
at you.
I'm good.
I want to ask real quick, how has Expo gone for you guys?
So Expo was, I mean,
It was a test bed for craziness,
yes, it
wasn't
was
it?
a crazy bet, basically, where Talabat was the official food delivery provider for Expo. So we have a pavilion there that basically where we host our cloud kitchens, but we also had a part for grocery as well, and a robot doing coffee. So basically, I think that's a great partnership that happened that kind of really pushed us to think disruptive innovation, right? So we could be in Expo and just operating as a restaurant and just serving food, but that wasn't the purpose, right? So we really tried to push a bit the boundary where, for example, if you see most of the food delivery were delivered in robots across the Expo. So you just basically scan, you receive a barcode, you scan it, the robot will get to you, and then you open and get your food. So that sounds, it's super cool. That sounds easy, but in reality, it requires a lot of technological, basically, work to be able to reach to this level. Same for grocery, for example. We were doing a completely automated experience where you can order your grocery in T-mart, then you can go to the pavilion, scan your barcode, and then you'll have your cubes open, and basically you collect your items. So I think from a pilot perspective, it completely ticked the box. And then, yeah, it just gave us now the possibility to go and explore the same model in a lot of different events.
I would love to talk to you later on about the quality, because with all of that going on, because sometimes the lines were insane. And to produce that type of quality on a regular basis, that must have been a massive challenge. But we could touch upon that later. Now, I get a question. I met you just for the first time. And what you did, you were very striking when it came to do you know what EQ is? Have you heard of the term EQ? Have you all heard of that? So you have IQ, you've all heard of IQ. So in a structural environment, you have IQ, intellectual, EQ, emotional, MQ, which is moral, and then BQ, which is body, the way you move your body and all that, okay? So when I met you right away, you have high EQ, okay?
Thank you.
And then you had very high BQ, your body quota. You leaned in, you knew to lean back. All these things are inherent to you, okay? So you can tell that you're all about relationships and being seen. The minute we start to go towards an e-commerce environment, all of that's lost,
Yeah, absolutely.
right? It's gone.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, how do you take advantage of all these things that a brand, somebody has learned, and now compete in a place where it's not about that anymore? It's not about emotional, it's not about body quota. How do you compete?
It's a case of having, as a distributor, having the right product and being able to have the fastest deliveries and, basically be able to keep up with the needs of these customers. And across all of them, we're working with them in terms of e-commerce distribution. And it's about being able to keep up, have the right product, right price point, right time.
But it's got to be relationships.
Absolutely.
Massive relationships, right? So you
Yeah.
have to keep up.
Yeah.
Right? They don't want to surprise you going, hey, do you know about this product? You have to tell them, right?
Sure.
So how do you stay in the know all the time?
Basically keeping your ears to the ground, understanding what's happening globally, whether it's weather demanding product, if there's an influx in babies, or if there's a new food product that's happening, whether it's vegan friendly or whatever else. It's about keeping in the know, understanding what's happening globally, and making sure that you have it here for your customers.
This is a unique market too, right? Because everything's centralized.
Yeah,
It's a lot
absolutely.
easier.
Yeah, it's
So if
very
anyone
unique.
wants to do what you do in other markets, it's going to be a lot harder because it's all these different fields everywhere.
Sure.
So you're kind of in the perfect storm environment,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's good. And again, all of you do you all work together in some ways?
Yes, I think. Yeah.
Almost. Who, if you had to kind of say if there was going to be like a fight between somebody, who would be fighting?
We're all working against him.
Against him. All against him. Look at body language. Do you kind of feel that sometimes?
No, I don't. Like I said earlier, we need to coexist.
I know you need to.
Yeah, we need
But do you feel like you are?
We are actually coexisting. I would maybe just go back around 4 or 5 years back when we launched our first e-commerce platform. It was on the website. It wasn't even an app at that time. It was around 2017 or 18, and we used to do around 5 to 6% of our sales came from that e-commerce. Yes, like he said, COVID has accelerated that, and it has jumped to almost double of what we used to do. But still, I mean, it was there earlier. It is now there, so it'll still keep on coexisting. And like she said, how do you get the new products into it? Somebody's not going to go onto a site and just order a can of chickpeas just because it looks good. He must have seen it in some store. He must have tasted it somewhere. He must have heard about it somewhere. It's only then that it'll take off from there. We will need the brick and mortar stores to do that. And I think I said it when I was standing there. I said, when you asked me, this is one of our passions, looking for new brands, looking for new products, looking at what the trends are. Like, is it free from? Is it keto? What is it? And again, when you said that it's very easy to be in Dubai and do your product selection. No, in fact, it's the other way around. We are more than 200 nationalities in this small place of around 10 million people. We need to be very, very specific on what we stock, what we buy, what we keep. I can give you an example where for every 3 kilometers of our 3 stores, the entire assortment changes because of the kind of consumers that we have. So it's not that easy even to maintain assortments in stores. Now to replicate that onto a website is another complex.
Yeah, but that kind of goes right now to Moon's model. It's a lot easier to centralize because you're decentralized because you have different stores. Centralized has to be a lot easier because you have one inventory location for everything, right?
Yeah, I think like other panelists also said, right? So I think all the models will coexist. There's not one model which will take the majority of the share. You need to have, let's say, customers will keep going to an offline store. Customers will keep going to the e-commerce platforms. Customers will keep going to the smaller stores which are spread across.
And maybe even Noon has got 2 models.
Absolutely. So we currently have a next day delivery. Very soon we'll be launching, let's say, 20-30 minute delivery, which is quick commerce, because we see a lot of people wanting stuff like really fast. But even before going there, I wanted to touch upon the topic of these partnerships that Natalie was speaking about, Kirti was also mentioning about. It's very important for the brands who are present here, right? How do you really make that connect with an e-commerce player? What we truly believe is these are the brand specialists. They know their brand much better than us. It's our job to provide them a platform where customers can access their brands. So there are a couple of things that I can suggest. One, definitely in terms of the communication, physical presence is always good. So you can showcase all the skills that you spoke of in terms of body language and stuff. But because of COVID, obviously all those meetings are restricted. But I strongly, and the team which works with me, we strongly believe in a combination of both, not too much of only online meetings. As far as possible, if you have an opportunity, have a one-on-one meeting. That's one. Number 2, when you're trying to get on board with the e-commerce players, don't end your discussions only with commissions or credit period. I mean, that's going to be a very boring partnership. What we at Noon believe is in long-term joint business planning or in joint business partnership. What it means is it also goes beyond your traditional margin discussions or credit discussions. It also talks about how are you going to generate demand for my brand and what can I get in return for it.
Just want to make sure we have 2 experiences, or maybe 3. We have the delivery, receiving, that's an experience, right? We have the online experience of discovery, and then we have the retention experience, meaning I'm coming back, I'm a customer that you remember me, you know my selections. Who here owns their own last mile?
We do.
You all own your own last mile, right?
Absolutely.
We have a hybrid of everything.
You have a hybrid of all.
Yeah.
But this is a massive challenge, is that last mile, because that experience of getting it, and it's exactly what I wanted, if not better. I mean, your challenge is
Exactly.
tough, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, like you mentioned, centralized. Our model is completely the opposite. We are completely decentralized. So basically, we operate on dark stores, which means that we have micro-fulfillment centers that allow us to deliver in 20 minutes, right? So between the moment you order your grocery to the moment it reaches your door, it's 20 minutes. And to be able to do so, we have to be conveniently located within the populated areas, right? Which makes it like our stores are quite small. So we need to do a lot of space optimization, but also a lot of assortment optimization to be able to cater or to be able to have the right assortment in the right store at the right moment.
Same model as him then. Same model.
Yeah.
Decentralized,
Yes.
and then you know the location of
Exactly.
that hub of what's going to be more popular
Exactly.
than another part.
And
Same
that
what you
basi-
do.
Same like what we do. So just to go back again a bit on the last mile, we have been operating stores in the UAE since 1974, and one of our USPs even in those days was home delivery. We were one of the very few stores who used to do home delivery. So you could come into a store, shop, and then say, okay, I live in such and such building, this is my flat, and we used to do home delivery. So the last mile was nothing new to me. It's just a new name to it. So the home delivery then changed onto e-commerce. E-commerce has now changed onto, let's say, various platforms and then various aggregators. But the last mile has still remained the same, but it's actually become much better now.
You see, Ken, what's really happened? Let's objectively look at it, right? So typically there is lead generation, then there is nurturing of the customers, then there is getting the product there, and then there is the fulfillment bit of it, and then there is upselling, right? Most of us have all 4 of the 5s almost similar. They're almost lead generation, nurturing, everything is pretty much similar. In the fulfillment and upselling is where each of these panelists, their businesses, they differ, right? Some of them might actually be doing a quick commerce, 90 minutes. Some of them might be doing like us, who do fresh only, chemical free, clean, whatever. Some of them might be doing 90 minutes delivery, larger assortment. Some of them might be doing everything in the store, tailored to your thing. There's a problem. There's a fundamental problem is that, you see, when you have a consolidated warehouse, you are actually bringing the entire power of the hypermarket into a grocery customer. Like we live near Bakala shops or grocery shops, who typically have about 80 to 100 SKUs, products, whatever, right? And that's all you need on your daily basis, right? So somebody who's actually doing a 90 minutes or 30 minutes or 10 minutes Q-commerce is actually only looking at those 50 or 60 products that he can get it out to the door in 10 minutes. When you actually brought the entire power of the hypermarket into a shop, into your platform, and then tell you, okay, I'll give it to you next day. So okay, I can just go to the shop and buy it. But where it really amplified is now you're actually bringing a hypermarket. And I'm okay with that because I get it next day as opposed to next week. So the real value that the customer sees is in the upselling or the fulfillment bit.
But that puts a lot of pressure on you then, Natalie, doesn't it?
Absolutely. We've got to fulfill very quickly. I think as a distributor, most distributors in the region tend to focus on sort of brick and mortar and Horeca. And as we at Truebell have got an e-commerce also built within the business, it allows us to really focus on these e-commerce players, be able to get the stock in, be able to deliver and sort of unlearn everything we've learned for retail and deliver within 30 minutes or pick and pack and off we go. So it's about reacting quickly, being able to fulfill the demand.
God, it seems like it's a bridge that could almost sometimes feel like it's going to break because everything
quick.
is so...
It's quick.
It's hot, right? Because again, I go back to Expo. I went on a Friday. Don't go to Expo on Fridays. Night. Especially now, right?
Sunday now, right?
Now Sundays. Yeah, don't go on Sundays night, right? The whole weekend changed, right? It was like, it's crazy. And I went to your main location, and it was busier than Saudi Arabia's exhibit, right? It was crazy. And we got our food fast, and it was really impressive. But you watch the people working on there, it looks like they were about to break.
Well, I mean, everything is kind of automated there, and everything is catered to kind of accommodate for this. But there's also, like, it all goes back to kind of adapting to the consumer behavior, right? So people in Expo don't expect necessarily to go and order their food. So what was happening is that people were queuing in front of the pavilion to order food, which is not the model. So basically, we had to put someone at the door asking people to place your order on the app outside of the pavilion and then get in and get your food, because this is how the flow will be much more optimal. So in everything we do, by the end of the day, we do it for the customer. So we really need to kind of break with the consumer behavior to kind of reach the optimum.
Can you answer my question about last mile on making sure it is matching the customer's experience or what they're anticipating? How do you guarantee it? I'm assuming it's harder on fresh food or cooked foods than it is on groceries.
So on
right?
fresh food, we typically, typically when you're purchasing fashion, right? You accessories or T-shirts or whatever, you get a money back guarantee on it, right? So you return your product, no cost. We don't charge you anything. The money is transferred back to your account. So some of us, like we do, we give a fresh or free guarantee. So if you cook the product, you didn't like the taste, you didn't feel it was fresh, return it back, no questions asked.
Does that happen often?
Well, not really, but when it does happen, less than 1% of the times. When it does happen, it's very tricky managing cold chain commerce. It is possible that the product might deteriorate when it sits in the van for 1.5 hours or 2 hours, sitting stacked on top of something or whatever it is. It is possible. We understand that. And the solution that we have is, if you don't like it in the form factor that you actually got it, return it back. No questions asked.
And you think that type of guarantee enhances the brand relationship?
It has certainly uplifted the customer's emotions towards the brand,
okay.
And it has definitely positioned us to. There is this. The swipe file concept, right?
Tinder.
Yeah.
You could just say,
thing,
did you see
right?
Tinder Swindler yet?
Oh yeah, I did.
Did you watch?
We had a chat about it.
Crazy. Did you guys watch that? You gotta watch it. Okay,
so everybody.
He's in Dubai right now. Simon's in Dubai right now.
It has happened in Dubai, actually.
Yeah,
I saw it on the paper. Right. So coming back to the point, when somebody is doing it right, there is a natural tendency in the market for others to obviously swipe left, because nobody knows anything better, right? Everybody is trying to learn from each other, because there's only so many of us here, right? So we learn from each other. We bring what's the best practice. We try it. We fail. It doesn't work. We better it.
I get it. So this is what I want to do. We're almost out of time. There is a term called a vivid vision. Vivid vision. It's a great, and I make every one of my entrepreneurs go through it, okay? And what it is you have to project yourself 3 years in the future, looking at where you are at that time, okay? 3 years in the future. So it's 2025, it's middle of February, and you are looking at your business and you go, this is what we are today. It's not what we'll become, what we dream to be, it's what we are, okay? I want you to do a vivid vision of yourselves 3 years from today and do it in 30 seconds, each one of you. You want to do it? You want to go first?
I can do it less than that, because we already have a 2025 plan in place.
Well, no, but tell me, pretend it's 2025 right now.
Yeah.
Tell me about your business.
Yeah, so we are 85 stores now in 2025, and with a turnover which I cannot say here. Our e-commerce share would be 18%.
Wow, I love your vivid vision. You want to try it?
I'm in Egypt. It's crazy. It's crazy today. But in Egypt, it's so massive that everyone is thinking, oh, why I was not faster there. We strongly believe in Egypt as the next biggest thing.
Because Egypt is the next biggest thing, because you're there.
I'm already there, but I think in 3 years' time, guys, that's the next place.
Just say, 3 years from now, we are in Egypt, and it's just insane. It's crazy.
And we're discussing all of this again.
Got it.
So I'll speak of two things maybe. One is we really want Noon to be the dominant choice of consumers.
You are the dominant.
Okay, we are the dominant choice of grocery shoppers across this region. And technologically, this might or might not be, I'm talking from a personal point of view. I want to be in a place where I would have cracked, you think about something and it lands at your doorstep. You don't need to click on really what you want. Maybe technology evolves to that stage in the next 4 to 5 years.
We are
the #1 e-commerce distributor in the UAE.
Just want to drop the mic.
So for us, it's basically omni-channel, fresh for all. That means for all the demographics of the UAE. Fresh, which is priced right. That means that's something that can be convenient and priced well for the masses. And fresh.
There you go, fresh. We are
delivering anything you can think of in 15 minutes.
In what markets?
In the region, in all the markets we operate on, basically, expanding from grocery to anything you can think
Yeah,
of.
but will you be in Tel Aviv? Will you be, I mean, what markets?
I think really leveraging on our markets, but taking the business model to another level is basically, it's not a geographic.
He's not telling you guys, you know that,
No,
right?
it's
That's
not a
very
geographical,
smart.
It's not a geographical expansion, but really taking the business model from grocery to anything we can deliver in 15 minutes. So bringing convenience to another level.
I want to thank all of you for going through my tortures and hanging out here. Thank you so much. Let's
Thank
give it
you,
for our
Ken.
panel.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Ken.
Oh, we have a Q&A. Wait a second, it gets even better. I did not know that. So, oh, now the hands go up. I love that. Do me a favor. Can we bring a microphone? Whoever has their hands up. Guys, you have a brilliant group up here. So microphone, can you, it's back there. What? Oh, you need my microphone. Yes. I get to shut up. Go for it. Go ahead. Run around. Right back there. Over here. Don't be shy. Yeah, do some cardio. Come on.
Hi, thank you. Patricia, head of e-commerce for IFCO. It's such a short time, but the feedback or the inputs that I will have to get from this panel, because it's a very important panel, is to understand how can we do an impactful Ramadan campaign. I would love to hear about this. I would love to hear also like how can we create and expand what are the markets to the challenging markets, how can we be there? And the third, if it's possible, it's a little bit about the data sharing. What do you feel like it's monetizing versus maybe potentializing? How can the supplier work with you guys? These are just 3 ideas that I would like to hear from the panel, please.
I can go for it. So the first thing is to know your buyer persona. So you really need to know what is the pain point that your customer feels today that you're trying to solve. If you have a social situation that needs attention, you're clearly a winner. Right? Taking from there is obviously aggregation and private labeling and quick delivery and quick commerce and everything follows that. So what really you need to see is if there is a lot of uptake for the product that you're trying to bring. Again, coming back to the 3 Ps, the buyer persona, your proposition, and finally the product comes.
How can we do this in Fresh to Home, in example?
So you need to start with understanding the market. You do a research, a closed panel of audience who's giving you feedback of what's potential problem that they're facing. From there comes your proposition as to how you can do it uniquely, position yourself, and finally you come out with a product that caters to the public. That is a clear winner.
Thank you.
All right, another question over here. There. You know what? Actually, do me a favor. Who's got questions? Raise your hand. Let me see your questions. Can you guys come up here? Come on up here. Come on up here. Can you have the microphone over here, please? Can you bring the microphone to me? Come on up here. You're the first person. Sit down here. You get to ask the question. What's your name? Where are you from? And what's your question? Here you go.
Thank you.
Sit down.
My name is Andrei. I'm from Kiev, from Ukraine. I'm a founder of a fish booking platform called Sidora. We bring fish from fishermen directly to homes. Very much the same.
What's your question?
My question, and you see I'm on the right chair because obviously it was your question that you told, and thank you for that. I want to ask all guests, what is your enemy? Really? Have you heard what Karen was speaking about this? Yeah? So who is your enemy?
What's your arch villain that you're combating? Why are you creating?
You see, the unsatisfied customer. My answer is an unsatisfied customer. Because if you get a negative feedback from a customer, it actually does worse than a positive feedback, right? It actually goes and kills not only your competition, but also trust in the industry. So I think my biggest competition is not the competition because we are all trying to play a different game, but it is an unsatisfied or disgruntled customer.
Okay. Anyone else?
It's actually
Unsatisfaction of customer unsatisfaction.
You're not shy, are
Sorry?
you?
Yeah.
Not at all.
Customer satisfaction, absolutely, yes.
It's just actually us, how much limit we are putting in front of
No,
ourselves.
maybe you don't
Everything
understand
is
the question.
possible.
Maybe the enemy the enemy is what's out there, and that's the reason why you have your company or your product or your service. So Elon Musk created Solar City because he knew that petroleum was going to diminish over time and he had to find an alternative fuel source. So his enemy actually was petroleum. Okay, so it's a bigger picture. So your enemy is what? Does that make more sense?
Yeah.
It's a little harder, it's deeper.
It's a very difficult question, but let me give it an attempt. Think of a world, I mean, I personally tell this to my wife a lot of times, is I really don't like this entire spending like 30 minutes in the kitchen to have a meal for 5 minutes. Maybe in the future, if somebody invents a pill where you don't require to actually consume any food, that would be the biggest competitor for all of us.
So hypothetical. Good job, thank you so much. Come on up here, next person. You go right here, walk down right here. Come on up. You're the next contestant to be the moderator.
Thank you so much.
Pop your mask off real quick.
Thank you.
Tell your name, where are you from?
Hi, my name is Elna, and I just joined the company as their e-commerce manager. So my question is very specific. My first question is to you, Natalie. As the head of an e-commerce for a distribution company, there are so many marketplaces out there, e-commerce marketplaces. So as a new brand, what do you think is the criteria we should keep to get listed on the marketplace? Is it we list on every single marketplaces, or we specify, okay, fine, I choose Noon, Amazon, I choose Gibson's, okay, I choose more regional. What do you think?
I think it really depends on the product you're distributing. So it depends on your assortment, the brand, whether it's a beauty product or whether it's a grocery product, as to whether you'd be on Namshi or Nessa or Noon or Amazon or Gibson's. So it really depends on the product, and then making sure you've got great visibility across each platform that, you know, where your consumer's going to be shopping.
Okay.
Get the data to make sure she has the right products.
Speak to the teams. I think once you have a brand, you get in touch with the e-commerce platforms, all of them. There'll be a lot of data in terms of the kind of traffic they have, the kind of need, the brands that they're looking for and the customers are looking for. So I think it's worth presenting the brand, having an open discussion and seeing whether, you know, you can push it through them channels.
Okay. So as a head of e-commerce, I would like to know if you have a particular product, which is an FMCG product, what do you suggest? A maximum limit for the number of marketplaces you need to be listed, or just go crazy about the marketplaces?
I mean, you don't want to dilute the marketplaces, but you want to make sure that you're in the main key platforms. So yeah, make sure that you're across all key platforms, you keep price parity, you have a good assortment, maybe different assortment on different platforms depending on the brand needs, and a different offer.
Okay, thank you so much,
You
Natalie.
see, on that point, there is always this question. This is very two-faced. It's like a toss of coin, right? It's quality versus quantity.
Yes.
If your objective is to be everywhere and sell the maximum number as you can, then your decision is based on that.
Okay.
The second one is if you want to be positioned with a clean label, a organic, eco-friendly kind of player, then you only associate with those kind of places.
Okay.
So typically it's that. Yeah.
Thank you so much. My second question, sorry.
Another one.
Yeah. My second question is to Mr. Yesu. So, as I mentioned, I just joined, and one of my target was to get listed on Noon. Now, one thing, it's not only for Noon, all the marketplaces which I personally have been facing is, it is very difficult for a brand to get in touch with the marketplaces. Now, for a customer, it is very easy. I need a shampoo, I can just type in shampoo. But for a brand to approach marketplaces, it's very difficult. So what is it from a marketplace that you would provide us brand owners an easier way to get in touch with you?
Absolutely. A very interesting question. Which brand do you work for?
So I work for this particular brand called Samyang, which is the noodle brand, and they are famous for the spicy
Wonderful.
noodle challenge.
Yeah.
But as I mentioned, we have other brands. And to get in touch with you, I have been sending me emails up and down. And it's not only for Noon, it's for Amazon or any marketplace.
I would just ask you to just maybe don't list it. Samyang is listed in Choitrams. Let them buy from us.
I was actually in touch with someone, and that person didn't respond to me from InstaShop. So yeah.
Let them give it a try. I know you can't ignore Noon. See, I think I thought we were very clear on our website. We have seller support section there, and our email ID is sellersupport@noon.com.
Yes, I do know that.
That is your go-to place. Are you new to Dubai otherwise?
No. I am brought up in Dubai.
Okay, cool. So I have an excellent team here who are very well networked. use the seller support at noon, which will get redirected to my team and the ones who actually manage that. Yeah, and you can also reach out to us on LinkedIn and all other channels.
Yes, so that is one thing which I wanted to check with you. So as I mentioned, I joined and I have been doing these emails, but the response, and you can't blame your team because there would be a plenty of requests
Can you help
coming.
her out?
No, that's not the question. The question
Absolutely, absolutely.
There you go. There you go.
But just for other brand owners, I just want to know that if the email don't work, because everyone has their own emails, so if the emails don't work, what do you think is the right move for the next step? Plan B, what is the plan
See,
B?
always you need to have a plan B, and if you're on the brand side, I would assume most of you guys and girls would be well networked.
Yes.
I would be surprised if no one from Noon is on your network.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe.
Surprising
that's-
thing, but yes.
Cool.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Over to you.
Get his card.
Yeah, can I have your card?
Yes.
I'm not carrying my card, but yeah, I'll introduce you to
That's
my
the way
team.
to do it.
She should stalk you on LinkedIn.
Come on up here.
She should stalk you on LinkedIn.
That's the way to do it. Come on, assertiveness. Hey there, take a seat. What's your name?
I'm Arsalan.
Introduce yourself.
Hi everyone. Hi everyone. So actually I am Arsalan and I'm working as an e-commerce specialist in BMB Group. So right now actually I have questions from Mr. Yesu, Noon platform, InstaShop and Talabat actually. So right now it is related to Ken's question in the very beginning that customers want to actually see the products and actually feel it. So what we do in e-commerce is we upload lifestyle images, right? Which is actually I think that right now the platforms are not allowing, and it is on white background, and if customers are actually touching the product over there and seeing it in the lifestyle image, it creates an impact on the customer's mind, right? So why it is not allowed right now?
Okay, so you want to take?
No, I mean, just I think what we want is to really have a consistency, because we know how important content is on the platform, and we want to be able to provide to our users a consistent experience irrespective of the product that they're browsing for. So I believe that's why we have some guidelines that we need to follow, like what you mentioned, the white background or the type of pictures, to kind of have a consistent experience throughout the platform, and then using the description or using the content as much as possible to have a rich description of what your product is, so that you can basically channel the message that you want to give to the users while they all the information they need to be able to buy your product.
And believe us when we come back to you with the feedback. Really believe us. This is how we grow, because we understand the customer and what they want and how they want to see it. So when we come back to you and tell you, please position your product, or this is the guideline that works best for our particular platform, so we can sell more and custom more information. So it's not against you, it's just how we see that particular brand can work with us.
Yeah.
Please
Okay.
give me a feedback.
So if you want to hear my view, so there are two things, right? Like what John mentioned and Nikola mentioned. One is we need to understand around 70 to 80% of the shoppers who come online, they go via search and not necessarily via the browse. Right, and let's say I'm assuming you deal with baklava and stuff. If you're part of
Yes,
BMB,
exactly.
yeah. If you type baklava, not necessarily all your products will be together. There will be multiple products which will come in, and hence, what John mentioned, consistency is very important. It's just imagine you're walking into a offline store, and the color coding and stuff is so confusing. The customer might actually exit.
Okay.
So the first important part for us is to maintain consistency. But having said that, if you are into a product which is high specialty, for example, what we did for Arun and Fresh to Home is these guys have very high quality meat and seafood, and Arun gave us this feedback saying, guys, this is not... Hello? Yeah. This is not going to work with the white backgrounds. So we did allow them to have very specialized backgrounds, because we know meat requires more involvement and it can't be a regular FMCG product.
It goes right back to what you said. Follow the guidelines. And
Absolutely.
It's so important. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I just
so
have one more question.
I'll just add on to what your request is. So if you look at the website of Choitrams, and the apps, we have got certain sections like recipes and how to use and things like that. Maybe you could participate in those, and then you can get that lifestyle feel onto it, which will then entice the customer to buy it.
You see, one feedback that came from some of the surveys or research that we have done, the quality of the image and the truth that they quantify is very important aspect of a purchase decision. So the nearer to the real life picture, I mean, you could have a Photoshop crop image, but customers may think, hey, this looks very artificial. But you could have a product that is real. I mean, what you see is what you get kind of product. And that's what sells.
What's your last question?
Yeah. So like Amazon right now is actually allowing the sellers to advertise on their platform, like from the PPC method and from display of their brands. So like why Noon, InstaShop and Talabat, like why you are not actually starting this?
We're doing all of that and more.
Yeah,
I think you need to come and ask, understand, and then work from there. Like,
It's another revenue source for them, right?
yeah, like it is there, but then actually, like for example, Amazon, like we ourselves can go and like choose our budget. Like if you just want to do 500 dirhams on a small display campaign, that is possible over there.
Are your platforms equipped to do stuff like that?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah? That's
Okay.
great.
Someone just needs to come and talk with us, and then
Okay.
we do that.
Good question. Thank you so much. All right. Who is next? Take a seat. What's your name? What do you?
So I'm Ayush Dugar. I'm from India. We are exhibiting over here actually at SC25 Sapphire. So now there's a new term which is being thrown around very often, the metaverse, the Web 3.0 space, and augmenting the user experience through AR, VR, and the whole tech. So are you guys on it? Are you guys keeping a tab on it? Are you guys doing something in this area?
Well, just before we spent like 20 minutes talking about the metaverse. You see, we're watching it. We're not very confident if we should be there on that, because the larger of us be there and promote it, it might actually have a social impact. So we want to see how socially it could deteriorate or invigorate the quality of social interactions first before we take a decision whether, as advertisers, we have sort of a responsibility of ensuring that the facade is lifted and the real product comes out into the world, right? So advertisers have a huge say in whether the product will exist or not exist or whatever after some time, and how much of social interaction it brings. So we want to be a little bit judicious about how we kind of enter into that platform. Yes, it certainly has certain good aspects to it, but right now there is no policing around it, and that is probably not a great. I'm a father of a teenage daughter. It hurts me, right?
I mean, give us a bit of time. We just cracked how to deliver avocado. Like, just a bit of time and we will land there as well.
So
definitely the future is something that we're all
Let me
looking at.
guess. You have a second question.
Yeah, no, just to follow up on this, to be very honest, just like I manage D2C and e-commerce for our company in India, and we also export. So now when I look at the metrics, when I look at the Google panel and the dashboard and the amount of time someone's spending on my website, I want to increase that, right? So they think about my brand more and the mind share has increased. But at the same time, aren't we sitting in a room today where our phones get more of our eyes than the people next to us? So that's already happening, right? That change has already happened.
You see, again, I'm taking a lot of those questions. You know, when I was a child, not that long ago, social interactions used to happen in the kitchen. My mom used to make fresh food. My dad used to sit next to us, and we used to sit around on the dinner table. That doesn't happen anymore. Everybody's eating whenever they want, however they want, and whatever they want, right? Social interactions does not happen, and that's very sad to see. So some of us are actually trying to binge on the taste factor and ready to cook, because, you know, so that our wives and our moms can actually create or curate that tasty chef-like products in the kitchen. And therefore bringing social conversations back into the kitchen. The grandma's recipe, the mom's recipe. I mean, before you know, those terms won't exist.
That's good.
You know?
That's good. Hey, do me a favor. Can you stand right here? Can you show everybody your socks? Look at those socks. Wow. Those are awesome. Good job. By the way, I have something regarding this whole metaverse thing. You like those? We need to wait till there's a standard. You know, Apple, I think, is really going to set that with their AR glasses that will be coming out. So let's pay attention to what they decide, because it's not going to be Facebook. Oculus has been out long enough to think there's going to be a standard. It's not there yet, right? So I think Apple's really going to make the difference in this space. We'll see. Thank you so much. Come on up. We have time for 2 more questions. And that's 2 more people. Perfect. Come on up. Sit down. Good to have you here.
Hello, thanks guys. My name is Diego. I'm the director of sales of Checkout.com. We process online payment for some of you guys as well. So my question is that we're talking about metaverse, blockchain, crypto, but the truth is that people here, they still pay cash. In some countries like Egypt, even more. And by the way, this is my biggest enemy, talking about enemy, and we want to kill cash at all. How was the change between the split between cash versus card payments after COVID? And if you can share maybe how much the card payment increased in comparison with cash payment?
You see, the COVID was a big deterrent to cash payments because people thought that touching the cash, and you probably might end up bringing COVID into your house, right? So people use the online checkout using a card or a wallet as a primary instrument of choice than cash. The numbers have skewed in the favor of cards, but people still like to, because there is a barrier to entry for online e-commerce, especially fresh. When products get into their house, they probably may not like it, and then the onus is on me whether I should pay cash for the transaction or not, or I don't need to send it back. You know what I mean? So I think people still like to have the power in their hands. So cash.
I think what he's asking is, first look at Gojek and look at Grab. Okay, those Asian markets, very cash-based, massive, right? You don't want to be in that space, is what you're saying, right? You want to be more on the credit card, and credit card penetration in a lot of these countries is still very, very low.
I think wallets is the way to go. To be honest with you, because
why not minutes? Why not use phone minutes?
yeah, just like the way that it penetrated in Africa. I mean, that's a great stuff. Most of the telecom players are now going for the Vodafone M-Pay. It's amazing.
What we learned, it also comes back to the platform itself. So if the consumers trust in your platform, and when it comes to returns, they prefer to get cash return to their card instead of as points. If you enable all of this, you're actually getting a high percentage of the card payments. Because especially in the UAE, we don't see cash a lot. In other markets, it's moving into that direction. But you as a platform,
Egypt, I guess you see
Egypt
a lot,
is moving up because you need to enable this understanding.
They're doing it in Egypt in 2025.
Oh yeah.
That's cool.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, last question, come on up. By the way, earlier, remember I said this is why you should have a podcast? This is the idea of a podcast, just asking these questions. And they're all telling you really what's going on. That's why you need to have one of these. Go ahead, what's your name?
My name is Marwan, I'm from Egypt. I just wanted to ask, when it comes to grocery, how do you tackle the problem with low margins? How do you build your business in a more sustainable way that's gonna go long term with the low margins that are in the grocery store? I see a lot of like the e-commerce businesses, they give you, when you sign up, they give you £50 to spend, for example, in the UK. They give you free orders, free delivery, all of these things. Short term, they're gonna create expansion, but when it comes to margin and actual profitability, it's not sustainable. So how do you build an e-commerce business for grocery especially that's a sustainable, in a sustainable way?
Okay, let me give it a try. So I think it's a very important point that you raised, is grocery traditionally has been a low margin business. Yeah. So what we really as e-commerce platforms are working with along with the brands is how to make it more sustainable. One of the things that we are really working on is how do you provide more value to the brand so that they can keep investing more with you and hence increase your gross intake margin. That's one. Second, I think Arun mentioned it earlier, we are all in the learning phase. For example, you would be surprised to know Noon is just a 4-year-old company and Noon Grocery is just a 2-year-old company. So I think there are some serious issues to tackle. The first one is how do you provide customers with a great shopping experience, and once you tackle that and once they're hooked to your platform, I'm sure profitability will follow. I think the bigger problem to solve is really how do you make customers really enjoy your platform and get hooked to it.
You see, out of the 5 pillars, 5 core areas that I mentioned, one is lead generation, other one is nurturing, other one is conversion and fulfillment, and finally upselling, right? The conversion bit, you typically have conversion frequency and conversion average order value. So by using a combination of the frequency and AOV per transaction, you actually get the customer hooking into you more number of times. So he actually ends up with a larger basket size than he would have otherwise bought, because the actual lead is the impulse buyer who sits after dinner, swipes left, finds a good deal, buys a banana for a dirham, right? and makes that purchase when he really didn't need a banana. I've done that. All of us have done that, right? So the real key is to increase the share of the basket. We call it as the monthly. I mean, there is this saying, right? Good marketing cannot replace bad math. So get the math right? Get the math right. Because it has a multiplier effect, and that actually leads to a good profitability.
Yeah. To add to what Arun is saying, we as e-commerce players, we really don't look at it at a transaction level. What we are really after is share of wallet at a monthly purchase level. So it could be 8 times a month, it could be 2 times a month, but what we really hope is customer is making most of their purchases of grocery with us.
Yeah, I just want to maybe tackle another aspect of your question, because you were asking about the sustainability of the business, and it's true that grocery is a low margin business. But then the key is diversifying your revenue channels. I think all of our companies, we don't only sell grocery, or at least this is not our main revenue generator, right? So, and also the way you deal with CPGs is different from the way you deal with different type of suppliers. So I think just the diversification of the different revenue streams that you can have as a company will allow you to sustain and basically use streams that are a bit more profitable to kind of fuel in streams that are essential for you to sustain as a business.
All right, thank you so much. You got another one, of course, you just don't know.
So what you're saying is when it comes to diversification, it means that an only grocery e-commerce platform will never be profitable?
No, because we start as a grocery platform. We are the grocery platform. Unit economics is very important. So if unit economics, the cost of that delivery included in the full day, and the fact what you need to do is you need to check your full funnel and remove all possible delays and timings so you can be fast, you can be reliable, and then of course later on we have 80% retention rate, 5 times frequency in a week time. These are other things that are coming along, but you can be profitable if you are on top of your game.
Is there any profitable platforms right now for grocery, only grocery?
I cannot discuss those things.
Because we don't operate our e-commerce platforms as they operate. We are it's almost like a replication of what you shop into our stores. That's onto our e-commerce platforms. Of our own stores. So I mean, touch wood, if our stores are doing well, our e-commerce is doing well.
See,
we are not into that giving away discounts if you're signing up with us. We are not into that.
You really have to be a category king in one segment, in one category, because everything else that you lose on the other areas will actually provide, it kind of neutralizes the loss that you have in the other categories, right? Some of us it might be food, some of us it might be fresh, some of it might be fruits and vegetables or something, or it could be non-food CPG or whatever it is. But you really need to have a category that drives revenue, that kind of waves off all the losses that you're making in the other categories.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. All right. Boy, this is like a telethon up here, huh? Turn it off. My mic already died. That's how much work I've been doing. No, but you're going to need your mic. To take this one. I'll just borrow for a second. All right, guys, we're going to finish it off. First, have you been here and walked the floors? Have you walked the floors?
Not yet.
Not yet?
No.
Walk the floors? The countries are amazing, right? Going to the international side. I'm going to end this. I'm going to ask you to do something that's outside the e-commerce space. Are you all from the Dubai area? Yes? What is your favorite restaurant in Dubai that's a hidden secret that we need to go check out? You guys are all e-commerce. I don't know. Last time I ate out. There's so many. What's a hidden gem that we should know about? It's up to you. What's your favorite restaurant that we need? It's like a hidden gem that we should all check out.
There's a restaurant I tried this weekend which is really good food. It's called Orfali Brothers. It's Turkish/Syrian/Middle Eastern cuisine in Al Wasl. It's really good.
I love it.
Yes.
What do you got?
I love Bangkok town.
What is it?
Bangkok town.
Bangkok Tower.
Bangkok town.
Where is that?
It's a couple of places. There's one right under the Emirates Stars metro station. Amazing Asian cuisine.
That's the place. Bangkok Tower. All right, I love it.
I'm not sure if it's a hidden gem, but Alici in Blue Water Island. I love Italian. It's very good. It's authentic.
You like that?
Yeah.
What do you got?
There's one Indian restaurant in Burj Khalifa. I think its name is Amal or something like that. Amazing Indian food.
That's it.
You
right
should
there.
try it.
Just great Indian food.
Yeah.
All right.
There is this place called Hunters and Barrel in Vida Hotel in GLT. I don't know why, but lately I'm just sitting there all
That's
the time.
your place.
Yeah.
I love it. What do you got?
If it's Indian, maybe India by Vinit Bhatia. It's yeah. Is it Meridian? It's I think it's Meridian. I don't remember.
Sounds good. Let's thank our panelists for doing such a great job. An incredible panel.